Hello, welcome to my channel, Basic Understanding of Anger. Thank you for dropping by. I hope I'm able to teach you a tiny bit of something today. Today we're going to talk about another chapter in my book, which is titled Blinded by Anger. I know you guys have found yourself in a situation where you were so angry that all hell broke loose. You either got your ass kicked or you kicked somebody's ass. But this all has to do with unresolved emotional feelings that we were not able to identify. So here we go. Blinded by anger, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, or Catwoman. That's who I thought I was. I feared nothing or no one. I was so angry at the world and everyone in it. All I wished for at the time was for a real big fight, one that would stop the anger. Anger, that's what we call it. But if you really think about it, hurt is the true feeling. I really believe that if I had a really good fight, it would all go away. I wouldn't feel angry or hurt anymore. We learn very unhealthy ways to handle the anger by being violent, getting high, yelling, having a dirty mouth, being resentful, or just thinking of new ways to get back at people for what they might have done to us. So this is true, right? Well, if you're not taught how to deal with your emotions and your feelings or identify them, you learn how to do different things with all these feelings and emotions. And of course, if someone has a little bit more power over you, you start contemplating how to get them back, Or if they're if they're in your face, you end up fist fighting with them, because we don't really know what else to do with all these feelings. So I grew up in the Bronx on the streets of New York. I remember being ganged up by 8 or 9 females. I had no fear. All I kept thinking about at the time was who I was going to take down with me. I sold drugs, I got high, and I had many fights with cops, males, females, big or small, fat or skinny, black or white. You name them, I fought with them, and again with no fear. Which is scary. It's scary to get jumped by a bunch of people. It's scary to have confrontation with cops. It's scary, if someone is bigger than you, but you still you could care less. You'll tangle up with them, you'll fight, you'll defend yourself. Because you have all these angry, hurt feelings inside that you could care less. Whatever happens, happens, right? It's scary because we actually do get hurt in the process, physically hurt. And the Bronx is no joke. I mean, I'm sure they have that kind of behavior everywhere you go, but that's where I grew up. But that's why I mention it. The Bronx. That is kind of scary if you really think about it. I'm 5 feet tall, and at that time I weighed 115. I'm not that weight today. Just to think back at the way I looked at life, I'm lucky to be alive today to share this with you. Learning about your feelings and how you handle them is very important. We can't go around pushing our angry, hurt feelings on others. It's not fair to yourself or anyone else. There comes a time where we have to take responsibility for our feelings and reactions without blame. If you're old enough to feel bad about something you said or did, then you're old enough to change it. It will not be easy. Yes, it hurts. Your feelings of hurt are true, and no one is taking that away from you. The time has come for you to do something about it. It's never too late to change. We can't go around wanting to kill everybody for the way we feel, right? I think that when we have no idea what the hell we're feeling and what emotions are all bottled up inside, we seriously become freaking savages. Like, you don't care about anything. It's not that you don't care, it's that you don't have the tools to deal with what's happening. And so I want to tell you guys what happened to me on Monday. I'm like here doing a YouTube channel, trying to share my newfound information with everybody to hopefully help someone somewhere behave differently or become aware of themselves. So I'll tell you what happened to me Monday. I left the house, normal day, I was on my way to take care of business, and on the corner of my eye I noticed something, and I was like, ugh. I was mad. Let me tell you, I was so pissed it wasn't even funny. I got so twisted. I was thinking about ramming my car into somebody else's car and running my car into the side of the building. I freaking was getting blinded by anger. I was getting twisted, let me tell you. And so, like I keep telling you, that it's your responsibility to behave differently and do something just a little bit different. Of course, I'm sitting here, so I'm not in jail, so I didn't ram my car into somebody else's car or into the side of the building. I ended up coming home and crying for 8 long hours. I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried for 8 long hours, trying to understand what I was so angry about. And so without a whole bunch of details, I'll try to tell you like what this year has been a challenge for me. Like this year I'm being challenged on every freaking area of my life that you can think of. I've been getting challenged, and I've been trying desperately to keep it together. I'm like, okay, okay to everything, and try to be understanding. And I'm like, all right, but it's hard. It's hard. It's a freaking challenge. It is a challenge, especially when you're used to doing things a certain way, because it would have been a few years ago. I promise you, my car would have been smashed into that car over there and the side of that building over there, and I'd have been in front of the judge trying to explain what happened, because I got blinded by anger. So what happened is that I worked so hard at something for the last 10 years, and I gave it my all, 100%. And so let's just say there's a group of people of 10 people, right? And 9 out of 10 people lack integrity. 9 out of 10 people are doing the same thing. And I'm not saying it to put anybody down. I want you to pay more attention to the process, the learning process, the self-awareness, And so after doing all I can possibly do to have this work out the way it was intended to work out, and it didn't work out that way, it's hard to deal with. It's so hard to deal with. So Monday I cried for, I'm telling you, it must have been 8 or 10 hours crying, trying to figure out what the hell is the problem. I made a few phone calls to there's a handful of people that I actually open up to, and I cry to them, and they walk me through it, And so one of the calls that I made, my friend was like, well, what are you feeling? And I'm like, well, I have no idea what I feel. And so we talked a little bit more, and he was like, well, I think you feel defeated. And so I started crying again. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I feel. Because it's like, it's the group that I'm talking about is more than 10. So it's like all of them against me. But I know I'm right. But for some reason, I still want to be a part of that group. I still want to be accepted for who I am. Accepted that we all don't see things the same, and that doesn't make me a bad person. And okay, if you want to be the way that you are, but do not judge me for the way that I am, for the way that I see things. And the one person in that group that can actually make the decision to have a different outcome is not there for me either. So it's like I stand alone. And after the whole episode on Monday, you know, I've always been okay with standing alone because I know where I'm standing is right. And even though I want to fit in, and even though I want to be a part of, I know I don't fit in. I know I'm not ever going to be truly accepted. And so it's okay, you know, but at the same time, change is scary. So I did all of that crying. I kept myself out of jail. I didn't lose my freaking mind. But if you're not careful with your behavior or the way you react to things, you can get in a lot of trouble. Blinded by anger is no freaking joke. Your feelings become so big and overwhelming that you can't see straight. You can't think straight. You end up doing things, and then later on, you know, you're sitting in jail and you're like, well, damn it, I should have not did that. You know, even though it feels good at the moment, you know, if you grab somebody by the hair and drag them all over the freaking place, it's instant gratification. But long term, for yourself, it's not good. For people around you that are looking at you for guidance and leadership, it's not good to behave that way, of course, naturally. But it takes a lot of freaking work. So like with all my little chapters, I always put like a few words, a few questions at the end. So question number 1 is, think of the last time you got blinded by anger. Question number 2, what did you do? You know, the last time you got blinded by anger, maybe something happened to you like happened to me on Monday, and you actually did run your car into the other person's car, you know? You actually ran your car into the side of the building. You know, you went and grabbed somebody by the hair. No good, right? No good. Question number 3, if you could do it over, what would you do? What I ended up doing was crying, driving around and crying, and trying to identify the feelings that I so freely talk about. And yes, it's easier said than done, but I have to give myself credit that although I cried my eyes out so badly, I had a freaking headache, my jaw hurt, because I was like angry the whole time. Oh my God, I wanted to start making phone calls, and I wanted to start looking for people, and I wanted to start setting them straight, you know, but you can't. That's who they are. And if I don't fit in, it's okay. Eventually life will unfold, because I always say that life is a journey and we always end up where we belong. And so although 10 years is a long time, it wasn't a complete waste of time. I learned a lot, and I'm grateful for the experience. So this is what you have to do with your own life. You have to be able to understand what's happening, why it's happening, and the whole time avoid putting your hands on someone and avoid ending up in jail. Number 4, how can you make this newfound information work for you? So next time that you get blinded by anger and you really think you're going to lose it, hold on. Stay in your car, drive around. Don't go outside. Don't pick up the phone. Don't call whoever you feel you need to put in place. Don't do it. Don't do it. Instead, take all that time and all that energy and internalize it. Figure out what you're going to do with it without getting in trouble. Because getting in trouble is what we need to avoid, right? And so I had showed you anger is hurt. And so when you're going through something like this where you're blinded by anger, it always has to do with hurt feelings. So create your own list of words. It's not easy. I mean, like, you're in the middle of some kind of freaking emotional breakdown. It's not like you want to sit down and start writing things out, but if you can find the inner strength to do it, do it. It's only benefits you at the end of the day. And I wanted to mention something else. You know, we all have a toolbox that we're given before we leave home. You know, when you're growing up, this is your toolbox that's being fed. I have this thing in here because this is what I ended up having to put on my doggone eyes on Monday. I had to stick it in the freezer and put it on my eyes because my eyeballs were going to fall out from all the crying that I did. It was terrible. But whatever, right? That's life. But you know, like, when you're growing up, your family is handing you a toolbox to take with you to into your adult life, you know? And so in that toolbox, they're giving you different things, you know, different ways to handle your life, different ways to deal with things. And I don't know, if you grew up in a violent home, you know, you're getting weapons, and they are in a way to deal with problems, you know. You're being handled a whole bunch of different things. So I don't know, from now until the next time we talk, or if you have any questions or any comments, leave them down below, and we can talk about your individual toolbox that you were handed growing up. You know, because we take that toolbox and we're very proud of it. We leave our homes, and here we go into the adult world with our toolbox, not knowing and not understanding that some of them tools are bad. They're not. They need to be replaced. And your job as an adult is to start replacing the tools that you were given with new tools, so that you don't go handing the toolbox down the next generation. So I hope that made sense. You know, I'm trying to keep my videos short so that you don't, I don't give you a headache in the process. If you like, share, and subscribe. Remember that life is a journey. Live it with integrity, an open mind, and a never-ending desire to learn. And we'll see you next time. Have a good week.